So I'm here with jazz bassist Michael Feinberg. He's a jazz bassist based in New York City, originally from Atlanta. And we're going to be doing an interview today talking about music, life, and the New York jazz scene. How are you today?
Doing great.
Yeah, so where are you today right now?
Right now I'm in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm about to play a show at Ondai Music.
Yeah, so this is your first time in Baltimore?
I come here about twice a year.
Twice a year? With your own band?
Either with my band or as a sideman. So
Cool.
today I'm a sideman.
Sideman today. So you enjoy collaborating with other musicians?
Sometimes. I oftentimes view collaborations as just getting paid for work. So
That's an honest answer.
a collaboration is a different thing than getting hired. So when I collaborate with people, it's a different expectation
Understood.
than when I'm hired to do a job.
So you've been living in New York for how long? Since
2009.
2009. So tell me about your experiences from, let's go all the way back to 2009, going to New York. Do you feel that your view about New York City and playing jazz has changed since you moved here in 2009 versus what it is today in 2017?
Definitely, but that's just because I've changed as a person. So what my goals were, some of them have been achieved and some of them have changed. So how I perceive my outside community or ambitions or goals changes depending on how I feel about myself.
Oh, okay. So let's go all the way back to 2009. You come to New York City.
Uh-huh.
Why'd you come here?
Well, I started coming to New York in 2007. I lived here for the summer and did an internship and did my first professional gig in New York and had a lot of friends who were already living there. So I knew to do the music I wanted to do and where the people were that I wanted to work with was in New York.
And you're still here after 8 years.
Still there.
Yeah, so New York is your home now.
Yeah, it is.
So what have been some of the, let's go back. What were some of the beginning highlights for you playing music as a band leader in New York?
Beginning highlights. So
when you first came.
my first gig ever in New York was in 2007, and that was with Jim Black on drums, Andrew D'Angelo on saxophone and clarinet, and Peter Evans on trumpet, and that was at Barbez. That was the first time I ever played a gig in New York. I was still in school. So that was particularly memorable because of the people involved and because it was the first gig I played. The first gig that I booked for myself was at Smalls, and it was a CD release, and that was with Ambrose Akinmusiri, Daniel Platzman, Alex Wintz, Pascal LaBeouf, and maybe someone else who I'm forgetting.
So you're already playing right when you come here. It's at some of the best venues.
Yeah, I don't know how that really happened.
Do you think at the time you were ready for those opportunities, or you felt like I'm just gonna adapt to them and play?
At the time, I felt like I was ready.
You felt like you were ready at the time.
In retrospect, definitely not. But that's also, what they would say by like paying your dues or learning on the bandstand. So I'm grateful for those opportunities, whether or not I was ready for them.
I also heard that you. I watched the video of you playing at the Velvet Note, the live stream.
Uh-huh.
You were just in the Velvet Note in Atlanta, and the woman who announced you said you have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree.
Yeah.
So tell me about. So you went to NYU for your master's?
Yeah, I went to University of Miami for my undergrad. I went to NYU for my master's. I don't know that I care terribly much about either one of those places in terms of music, but I made a lot of friendships and connections and learned a lot about life through being in those environments.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, if you had to pick one over the other, which one would you pick?
Oh, Miami, for sure.
So what was it? What about it? So you went to NYU?
Well, I was gonna go to Manhattan School of Music, and I had some conversations with some of the faculty and felt like I was going to end up getting a nice scholarship and being able to go attend there. And at the same time, I had met with Ron McClure, who was one of the bass teachers at NYU.
Mm-hmm. So you went to NYU to study with him?
Well, sort of. He kind of like, what's the right way to say this? Like, he was like pushing to get me to go there, basically. And so he ended up helping me out a little bit. And then once I got there, I didn't even end up being able to study with him through some various political reasons at the school. And so we don't really have any kind of friendship.
Do you feel like there's a lot of politics involved in music school?
Completely. Absolutely.
Would you say that you're always kind of being judged? It's everything you say.
Yeah. So one of the biggest problems with the institutionalization of music is, especially when you have programs and they're competing for students.
They only have a certain number of
awards.
slots to fill.
Right. So as soon as you put competition into the mindset of creating music, you're kind of doing a disservice, and especially when we're talking about creative music like jazz, which is such a collaborative and cooperative kind of music form. I had a lot of my motivation from not getting selected to a certain ensemble or not getting picked to play with a guest soloist or things like that. That would, for me, I found that as motivation. But you could see that they wanted certain people to be, they wanted them to be put out front, and other people who were not the chosen few were kind of left in the dust. And that may have changed now since they've redone their faculty and things like that. But kind of the way it worked, at least when I was there, was that there was one or two people who would get all the opportunities, and everyone else was just kind of left to fend for themselves.
Yeah, so what you're saying is that if we're all students at the music school, the opportunities should be the same for everyone. If they're all paying the same tuition,
right. Well,
there should be equal opportunity.
I think that a lot of times the people who would benefit the most from getting to work with, a guest clinician are not the people who are already, the best like professional quality players.
Mm-hmm.
So, what a great opportunity for someone who maybe is not quite ready for that, but it will push them to, to get better, and it will put them in an environment where they're going to need to sink or swim.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing that I think should be addressed, and it's kind of the same in a lot of different programs, or you can relate it to like sports or a lot of other things where maybe the best person gets injured or something, so the second string guy has to come in and they make the big play, because they finally got an opportunity and they managed to do it. Or they get their big opportunity and they fucking blow it. And maybe that's also important for them to know for different reasons too. So, I remember playing a gig, one of my early gigs with Russell Gunn, a trumpet player in Atlanta, and I didn't know any of the songs he was playing, and basically I sounded like shit and ruined the gig and I got fired. But that was important for me to have that experience at least, and it helped me grow and become a better musician.
Yeah, so some very, very insightful stuff. So school ended quite a few years ago for you. Let's talk about, what you've been doing, in New York. So let's talk about your Elvin Jones project, your first record where you decided you were going to devote an entire album to the drummer Elvin Jones. So how did that come about?
That project came about through my interaction with the drummer Ian Froman. So Ian was my best friend's drum teacher at Berkeley, and passed on this CD that got in my hands, which is called Earth Jones. And I just love the record, 1982, Elvin Jones, with Dave Liebman, George Mraz, Kenny Kirkland, and Tara Masahino. And that record just changed my perspective on a lot of things. And I really thought that it was a disservice that a lot of the music that was played doesn't get played anymore.
Do you feel that when it comes to jazz, musicians like Elvin Jones and John Coltrane and McCoy Tyner, that they would be in a separate dichotomy. In other words, you know, it is jazz, but it's also somewhat can feel like a separate genre of music because of the intensity.
No, but what I would say is that there's only like a handful of people who are really transcendent in that kind of music. So John Coltrane is one of them. Miles Davis is one of them. Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie. And, you know, I would say that's pretty much the Mount Rushmore. I mean, everything that we get in jazz comes from those people. And no one has really come close in the artistry and in terms of the importance of what they've done since any of those people, or in addition to those people.
So let's backtrack to the Elvin Jones project.
Okay, so Elvin became more and more important to me because so from hearing that record, I kind of went on a little listening binge and found a bunch of his original music and music with his bands, written by guys like Frank Foster, Dave Liebman. It was music that I had never heard before that was taking a lot of elements of it. I guess I would say that it's just underappreciated and underrepresented, the kind of music that was being made. And at the heart of a lot of these projects is Elvin. So it's something about the way that he approached music or made groups play around him really changed the way that I think ensembles worked.
So you're trying to carry that energy forward into 2017 with your
It's not
bands.
even that deep. It's just, you know, he was the common theme in a lot of this music that I was really enjoying. So, you know, you take like Larry Young, Wayne Shorter, McCoy Tyner, Herbie Hancock, Miles, Coltrane, you know, everyone that I really dug, Dave Holland, they had these iconic recordings with Elvin. Kenny Kirkland, you know, the list goes on and on. So, you know, that seemed to me to be the commonality, is that there was something about Elvin's influence that makes this music really happen.
So out of all the projects that you've done over the years, would you say the Elvin Jones is your favorite one, that you enjoy playing that music of?
No. I love it. I love playing that music, but there's something that is uniquely different and rewarding about playing your own compositions that I really like. The problem is that the amount of effort and energy that it takes to get it to the place where you hear it can be difficult to the point where I sometimes give up on doing it. So
would you say the gigs pick the music, the performances that you have scheduled, or is it the opposite?
Well, I just got burnt out. Before the Elvin Jones thing, I put out 3 or 4 records of all original music, and I loved deeply a lot of the music that's on those records, and it didn't really go anywhere in terms of really making my career jump forward. So, you know, it's difficult to put so much time, energy, and money into something and not see results in the way that you were expecting. So I took a detour from that, and I kind of got invested in this other thing. And now, you know, I'm doing both pretty much simultaneously.
Oh, well, sounds wonderful. Well, listen, Michael, thank you for your time.
It's been a pleasure.
Where can we find your music?
You can find it on all the internet platforms, or you can go to www.mfbass.com.
All right, well, we'll see you for another interview.